Right, so basically I'm making this video because I was drawn to go through one of the interviews that you guys did, because you were saying that there were voices coming through on the interview. Now, we've had this happen in several of our Now debates before in the past, where we've had voices coming through such as EVPs and things. Now, the ghost box devices that we use, there is a way of doing spirit communication that Richard will tell you about. It's called a live EVP, and you basically create an echo or feedback through a mic. Now, the EchoVox ghost box app works in a very similar way. So does Portal, so does Necrophonic. Basically anyone's with like sound banks of gibberish will use this kind of reverb or echo effect. Now, when you have three people doing a Skype call, unless the audio is configured 100% perfectly, which normally it isn't, because obviously it's normally just three random people having a conversation, and there's only so much production value you can get when you're doing things through Zoom and Skype and Facebook, etc., etc. You're going to get audio feedback. Now, that audio feedback is what you're mostly hearing throughout this interview. And the way I've come to understand that is by looking at the structure of the words. So even though there's an echo, let's say from the person on the top right computer of Kaz speaking, it won't exactly sound like Kaz, because it depends on the compression rate of the software that you're using, such as Skype. If you're using Facebook, then the compression rate is far lower. So it means that what it means by compression, if you just don't understand that right, basically, if you have a CD with a normal CD and you listen to that CD, that has a bit rate of around about, say, 600 kilobits a second. The average MP3 runs at about 192 kilobits a second. And what that basically means that there's so much information that is taken out. So if I was to compress this stream in and out into an MP3, for example, it might filter out the sound of my heating in the background, the sound of my dog snoring, the sound of my partner moving up downstairs, moving around, painting the bedroom. So it'll filter and it'll focus on the main focus point of the track, which is the sound of my voice, obviously. So because those filters and compressions are going on, that's generally why you have the higher pitch and tone. So going through some of these, what you're looking for is the kind of structure of what's being said. Does it match what Kaz is saying? Now, the good thing is with this is because Kaz's speech is really direct and really poignant and very emphasised, probably because she's told this story. Sorry, Kaz, if I'm talking in the third person, but I would assume because you've told this story so many times before, that it's like second nature to you, and there's certain points that you want the recipient to get in their head. And I've noticed that with the way you talk, you're very sort of poignant in the way you put things across. Gary, by comparison, is a little bit more relaxed, probably because he's the one that sort of has to back up the narrative. So Kaz seems to give the full narrative of what happened, brought down by day. But because Gary needs to maybe access this bit of knowledge, that bit of knowledge, this bit of knowledge, that bit of knowledge, he's a little bit more relaxed in his speech, because he's responding to questions more than having to tell the story, of which is what Kaz is doing in this interview. So what you're looking for then is the emphasised words. So the way Kaz emphasises certain words, that's where you will hear the feedback the most, because in our natural way that we speak, we get that feedback naturally. So I've taken the clip from about 32 minutes in, from where Gary says that they say that they could hear the noises. What happened is I started it off a little bit later and then wound it back when I was recording the screen. So this little bit here, what Kaz is saying, actually takes place after what I believe is an actual EVP. So just want to quickly show you this.
1 a.m. and 1 p.m. and 1 at 9 p.m. just before the event started. It was not an exercise. It certainly wasn't part of Exercise Chameleon. You can go and see a military exercise. You can go and watch it. And in the morning, they might fly a plane up, do a couple of flybys, and then land.
So you can hear that is definitely Kaz, that feedback. It's just a slightly higher pitch because of the compression rates, because you can clearly hear the two words started and military being echoed or repeated. So we know that is Kaz. Now, when Spirit manipulate audio, what they tend to do is they manipulate what's already there, okay? So you will have something that slightly sounds like something else. So you'll have the echo of Kaz, for example, and it will peter off and create more words from that. So what they're doing is they're manipulating that audio source. What I'm assuming is happening here is whoever's doing it, and I would assume it's someone from an external source. I don't think it's anyone hacking the call. I would say it's probably more these entities or beings that are doing this to sort of put or give a message of some sort. The afterlife and the ufology world are much more closely linked than we realise. So I'll give you an example of this. This is from a video that we've done. This was a night that we did, myself, my partner, my nephew, back in 2013, and we had several mics on at once because we were doing a live stream. And the idea of the live stream was to have the audience participate in an evening of mediumship, and this was before we had the ease of Skype and different things like that. We were using Twitch in its very, very earliest forms with a program I think was called XSplit or something like that it was called, which was very, very sort of high-end studio kind of thing that you had to pay a lot of money for. And we managed to, I think, get a shareware version of it or something, or there was, anyway, it was, so we were recording it. So you'll see my nephew reacting to how the audio, the mics are playing up, etc.
That's why I can see it. I don't know what's wrong with it. There's no explanation for all my mics to be freaking out like that. And it's not because they're close to each other, because before we left, this is the exact same position.
Yeah.
Because it generally sounds like there's more than one voice. All talking at once.
As we can hear, so if you notice, right, it's actually manipulating one voice for my partner and the word webcam, which is what my nephew's about to say. But as it repeats it, the one voice becomes the welcome, the webcam becomes welcome, and then you can hear the rest of the message traipsing off it. So you can hear you from heaven. And you can hear that twice. You can go back and watch that on that video there. I think that's the version of it on my channel. I'm not entirely sure. They're both exactly the same video anyway. Okay, so moving further on, there was a little point here I want to just address.
Changed. The resonance changed. As far as I was concerned, I'd gone out, I'd found my impact site, I'd found my debris trail. Mm-hmm. I still didn't believe what it was that I saw, but I know that it was real. If you take a polygraph test, it can't be based on what you think you saw. Yeah. It's not based on fact. If I thought that you broke into my home, that wouldn't be enough.
No.
No. I had to have seen you.
Now, there's something there, right? Because you can hear the emphasis on Kaz saying be enough, but there's something underneath it. Now, when you've got a sustained pattern of speech there from someone giving a sustained couple of paragraphs of what, so when you've got like a sustained, uninterrupted sort of pattern of speech there, you will get that feedback, creating like a feedback trap, because the person who can pick up that feedback is obviously there responding by going and obviously that's cutting into the feedback there, so you're going to get that kind of increase in pitch going on. But there was something there, and I heard something. I took it out because when I heard it the second time, when I do EVPs, I always test them 3 times. So I do it once, that's what I can hear. I'll come back to it, can I still hear it? And I come back to it a 3rd time, and that's normally when I render it out. Well, this time I couldn't hear what I originally heard, so
I had to have seen you. I had to have seen you.
So, but there is something there, because when the guy goes and Kaz comes in with saying I would have had to have seen you. Now I could hear it as you witnessed it. That's what I could hear, but
I had to.
So just after the guy goes no, and then Kaz starts to speak, it's there. But again, that could be feedback as well. This was one I found more interesting.
Had to have seen you. Yeah. Yeah. You know.
Now, that noise comes out of nowhere. That noise isn't a response to one of the guys speaking. It could be something that someone's doing off screen, or it could be like a noise that is happening maybe in the background of one of the houses or something. But when you slow it down, listen to this. Let me take that away a second. Just listen, see what you think.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Now, there's what I thought it was.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. You know? It's not based on what you believe. It's based on what you know and what you saw. It's based on fact. And that's why I did my polygraph test.
I thought there was something there, but it's not. Again, that's the feedback, because you can clearly hear her saying, Kaz saying it's based on fact.
And that's why I did my polygraph test with Carrie Austin, who's the leading forensic polygraph examiner in the country. It's the leading forensic.
Now, this high-pitched sound here I thought was quite interesting, because it doesn't actually follow the sort of pattern of speech. It's kind of counterintuitive to what Kaz is saying and her tone, and it's not sort of coming from anything else. So I decided to have a look at this and make of this what you will. Perhaps this is something. Perhaps
it's the leading forensic. It's the leading forensic. It's the leading. It's the leading forensic. It's the leading forensic. It's the leading forensic. He works for the government. It's the leading forensic. It's the leading forensic.
Right, yes, you did quite clearly there.
It's the leading forensic.
So yes, you did do this, something like that.
He works for the government, not some backstreet, underhanded polygraph, or I could just got a certificate and said thanks very much and paid my money. I wanted to prove to Gary and to the rest of the team.
Listen to this. That's a 3-syllable word. That to me sounds like impossible. Listen. It's either impossible or possible.
Gary and to the rest of the team who aren't involved.
So to me, you put a two of it. It's like the impossible. You've stepped up to do this. I see what
Not involved anymore. That I was telling the truth. You know, there are other witnesses, and
Yeah.
So that's from there.
the truth. You know, that the truth. You know, that
We will help you. We will help with this. Just focus on the high tones. Don't focus on anything else in there. Just focus on that high pitch.
I am the only one that will speak out. And even then, initially, I didn't want to. You know.
Now that to me sounds like "And That Passion Grew." You hear the word passion, so that passion grew.
And when I was
I
lent on
think
by the
there's one
mainstream,
later
I
on
didn't
down by
speak to
here
anyone.
then.
Foolishly thinking that perhaps they wanted the real story, I did telephone her.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that because when you lengthen it, it's not capturing the higher tone there. There's something there, but it's not capturing it the way it should have, sadly. And then basically that's the rest of there when you
By
talk
others,
about hearing
and
the
I-
voice, etc., etc. So I thought I'd do a little bit of an analysis on it. Let me guys know what you guys think, and yeah, just thought I'd have a bit of a bash and see what come out of it. There's a picture of my ugly mug from 2 years ago. I don't want you to see that. There you go.